I hope you can see I'm smiling big. It's because I am inspired every day that we get the opportunity to do this podcast. I have always a few words with my mentor, Mr. Hubert Humphrey, and new ideas spark the brain, and that lift the spirit. And so very happy. Hopefully, I'm sure that we'll be able to share not just what we put out here on the podcast, but also some of the things that we talk about behind the curtain, so to speak. Anyways, welcome to today's podcast. My name is Mauricio Garcia, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of a mentor. And so to do that, I'm going to bring the one and only, the one individual that you know by now, if you've been following the podcast, the legendary, the Hall of Fame entrepreneur, Mr. Hubert Humphrey. Hubert, how do you do today?
I'm doing great. It's been a great week thus far, and I love building on it. And these are some of the higher laws, the higher psychology and principles of leadership, and it's driven me. The most important thing in my whole success was that I found some things that lit my fire way back and got me super excited and got my vision stretched and got me inspired. And the number one person I had to get inspired was me. And I found out that as long as somebody like me could be inspired, that was powerful. And if I could get other leaders to feel that same way and be inspired, then we got the magic of compound inspired people doing great things. And so that this mentoring thing is everything. You know, one of the things that you got to have to be successful, the greatest chance to be successful, is to have a mentor, somebody that can coach you, somebody that knows what the system is, knows what the plan is got all the ingredients for success, and can guide you in real time along the way, help you fight off the loneliness that comes with being an entrepreneur, all the challenges that come with being an entrepreneur. And it's never going to be easy to be an entrepreneur, but it'll be worth it. And when you're getting beat up and knocked down, you got to have a mentor to go whisper in your ear. You get up off that mat. Come on, you can do it. Remember those goals you got. You got to have that mentor that can just get you back into the game. You got to have a mentor. To me, one of the great principles of success that I've found is that you must always be aligned with something or somebody bigger than yourself. If it's just you that you're relying on a fool to guide you, and you got to have something bigger to help you along the way, and that's why I've had this mastermind alliance relationship with Alexander the Great, with all these different leaders and all, whether they're alive or whether they're dead. I have this relationship with them. I'm aligned with them. The idea is bigger than me. I just adapt them to my way of life. And so I've had them mentor me, and I've had great live mentors along the way that have coached me along the way too.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you an epiphany that occurred in my mind when you said, it doesn't matter how smart you think you aren't going to be able to expand your own vision. And I'm thinking, I thought about it, and I had to agree that you have to, everything you know today, you read it somewhere, you heard it from somebody. I'm not saying you don't get your own ideas, but to really expand your mind, to get inspired, you've got to, why? In my opinion, you've got to have a mentor. It's because
that's right.
To dream big dreams, you've got to be inspired by it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've read books and all. I told people all the time about just that one book, The Alexander Complex. As I read that book, that big idea, that Michael Meyer giving that philosophy of a modern day Alexander, just literally stretched my vision. And I could not have just, by myself, I couldn't have just accidentally eventually come up with that kind of a aha moment in my life. I couldn't learn the principles of getting our guys to have to be modern day Alexanders to go out and conquer their future. I couldn't have got those feelings if I hadn't read a lot of these great books, The Mask of Command, and all these different books about Alexander and about other leaders. Like we do a lot of things with our leadership format system. I could not have, as powerful as I thought the system was when I was just in its infancy, I was on to it, but I didn't quite know how important a system was going to be until I started studying Ray Kroc and the making of McDonald's, and I started to realize, and then books like the E-Myth and so forth. I started to, those things mentored me. They stretched my visions, what I'm trying to say, and it caused me to see the power of a system. Without that business franchise format system, Ray Kroc would have never developed the great McDonald's story. You know, Henry Ford, if he had to learn the automobile manufacturing format system he had, if he hadn't mastered that, we'd be all driving Chevrolets and not Fords. You know. But anyway, you know. So you have to go to other things and places and books and people, directly and indirectly, live in person or tapes. You know, the philosopher Emerson had this great quote, and it really, back many, 45, 50 years ago, when I first heard this quote, it impacted me. But then as I started to just think about it, like you were talking about, you were thinking about, I thought about it over the next few years, and I really realized it was the key. He said, the only great difference between you today and you 5 years from now will be the people you meet and the books you read. Mm-hmm. And assuming you're going to get something from those people and get something from those books, what he's saying is that's how you're going to get your vision stretched. And those people are mentors. You're talking about the importance of mentors. Those people, those books and people you're meeting are mentoring you, and that's what he was implying.
Sure, I just couldn't avoid but to think that could you get your vision shrinked if you're not careful what you're reading and what you're getting, right? Because
it's just like people say a mind once stretched can never go back to its original. Well, now it may not go back to shrink back to its original size, but it certainly can. It certainly can diminish. It's like a muscle.
If you don't work it right, it weakens. The reason I say that is sometimes we're not really thinking about our selection of content. Everything we read and see, some gives ideas, it stretches the mind. And so, I think it's an opportunity at least to open this parenthesis and say, let's be careful what we think, what we hear, what we read, who we listen to, who we associate with ourselves with, and always be thinking about good and dreaming big and accomplishing bigger things. With that, I want to jump into the Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Alexander. I think it would probably illustrate the concept today very nicely. The Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Alexander, you know the story. Can you please elaborate on it? And we'll see why it's important to have a mentor. And maybe it was probably an example of how every generation down had a much bigger vision because they all had mentors.
Well, that's right. I mean, we wouldn't have the democratic way of life that we have today if someone like Aristotle had not come along and had come up with these tremendous thoughts. They were inspired thoughts. Somehow a more higher power probably worked through him to create these liberating type of thoughts that free nations would need to have these democratic principles to have in these democracies and republics that we have today. And so he was a mentor for the whole world as we speak, for generations and generations. And so Aristotle was that kind of guy. He was a very wise guy. Had a lot of wisdom. Some said he was the smartest person in the world. Well, he had a lot of wisdom, but the thing he had with all his wisdom, he had understanding. And there's a scripture that challenges us to do that too. With all of our wisdom that we're getting, please get some understanding of how to use it. What does it mean? So he had a lot of understanding. I won't go through the whole story, but there's this famous story about Aristotle, this wealthy young man who had all the possessions you could think of in the world, and he came to Aristotle and he says, Aristotle, I've got everything, but I want the knowledge. I want what you know. Will you teach me? Will you teach me the key to having this knowledge that you've got? And he thought about it a minute, and he said, I will. He said, come follow me. Takes him down to the seashore there, and he wades him out into the water. And the guy says, what is he doing? Takes him out into the water, and it's ankle deep, and he takes him out a little more. He's knee deep, then he's hip deep, and now he's chest deep. Then he grabs him by the hair of the head and just shoves him under the water, and the guy's just kicking and screaming. And what's he trying to do? So he holds him under there for a minute and 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes, and the guy's about to die because he knows he's about to drown. And finally, just out of desperation, he breaks free and just leaps out of the water and says, What are you trying to do? Kill me? He said, no, I'm trying to teach you. Well, what are you trying to teach me? That when you want knowledge as much as you just wanted that breath of fresh air, you'll get it. So that's that understanding. That's how there's things like that. Aristotle was a great leader. Now, and there was many other things to Aristotle, but and he was a disruptor in his day. Man, he had people that wanted to kill him. Eventually, I think some people did poison him and kill him because he was upsetting all the thoughts of the day. He was a defining moment in the history of the world, and upsetting a lot of people. But he did what he had to do. And Plato was a great student of his, and was a great writer. And he's known for taking those philosophies of Socrates and putting them into works that could be passed on to generations and help mentor other people. And Aristotle was a great student of Plato / Socrates, because he wanted to take all those writings of Plato and teach them. And he ended up creating academies. The first academy, the word academy came from Aristotle, setting up academies. And he taught all those leaders of that day all those principles that Socrates had spoken and Plato had written about, and he's now teaching about in his schools, his academies. And as we know, one of his choice pupils was King Philip of Macedonia. Sent his young 14-year-old son over to his academy to be taught all these principles and to learn all about the Greek history, and to be trying to prepare him to one day be king himself. And he learned about all that stuff, and it was embedded in him, the things that literally caused him to go out and conquer the known world, and why we call him the Great today. And so that shows you that on a large scale, the mentoring that went on to set the stage for something in that day that was a monstrous event. They restored the glory of Greece. They conquered Darius and his big 1 million-man Persian army. They conquered the known world, all that good stuff. In fact, one of the things that drove Alexander was he wanted to conquer the world and make it Greek. That was his noble mission: conquer the world and make it Greek. Well, he succeeded. The Greek philosophies and even his military exploits and his strategies have been used in military campaigns by Napoleon and every other, Schwarzkopf and Patton and every general since then. It's taught at West Point. And it's also practiced in business, because I practice it in business. And so he succeeded. So that having mentors is important. And in my life, I look back at the mentors that I've had, whether it's books I've read or people that I've been around, or many of them have coached me and helped me. I've had mentors in my church life. I have mentors in just amongst my friendship life. I've certainly had mentors in my business life, and you're mentoring me, helping me really see the power of social media and all the things that we're doing there in our company to stay on the cutting edge. And so mentoring It's the only way you can really be successful is to be aligned. Alignment is key. If you got to have a really good alignment. If you just got a casual alignment, you're not going to get much out of the relationship. But if you sell out to it and you lock in and have an alignment and a continuous, repetitious, an insatiable appetite to be taught by somebody, and let submit your vision to them. Say, here, stretch it. Open your heart to them. Here, pump me up. Fill me with great spirit and fire. Well, that's how you become successful in life, and that's what I try to pass that on to as many people as I can in our business, and it works to some pretty good degree.
Well, it's working on me. I'll take the opportunity to tell you that this mentorship. I considered you my mentor, and the fact that we are on a podcast, and the fact that we now have this power of the internet and technology and it's touching other people's lives, I am sure that more than one is going to create this new way of thinking with this type of content what we're putting together here. And
we've only just begun.
We've only just begun,
Richard.
That's true.
You let us go another 1, 2, 3 years doing what we're doing. I think everybody out there that's any place in the business world can be affected by what we're teaching. I think it can penetrate to be that viral. That's how viral technology and a great idea can be.
And not only that, the fact of the matter is that the content, these are real. This is the things that really work. So it will rise to the top. And so for those of you who are the early adopters, you found the podcast, by just searching for entrepreneurship ideas or, whichever way you found it. It is good that you found it because you're going to be provided with things that move the needle, things that have substance, not some of those other stuff that are out there. Not to say that there aren't other great podcasters as well.
Yeah,
yes.
Another great tool, Mauricio, that we use is that this is helping me reach our current team today, the HDI team. We've got thousands of them out there they just listen to these podcasts every day because it's giving them a little daily dose of further interpretation of what they've got. The book, they've got the manual, they've got my videotapes, they've been watching and seeing, but a lot of this is giving them a deeper explanation. It's opening their eyes more. So it's being used as a tool for our team, and it's reaching a bunch of people that used to be in our businesses back in the day, in A.L. Williams and Primerica and over in World Financial Group that are over there, and other businesses out there that had their beginnings in us, and that's about 3 million or so people out there that are splintered out into different places. They're hearing about it. They're reconnecting to a power source that they got disconnected from, and that's a big deal.
Well, listen, I just have one warning for people that are listening to us live, and for those that will be listening to the recording, is that just be careful out there because, if you get the right mentors, you might just end up conquering the world. If not, just look at what happened to Alexander the Great here. And I think, like Hubert says, hey, we're all born with the same emotional systems. For the most part, we all have the capacity to develop those skills that can enable us to go out there and conquer our own future. So I'm very excited. I've never been more excited about this podcast than ever before. I'm feeling more and more comfortable being a co-host here with you. I want to thank you for doing this every single day, and I hope that the listeners are getting the value out of it. I'm sure they are, because there's nothing but massive power here. I know you're not holding anything back, and so thank you once again for that. But before we do wrap up today's Hubert, is that I want to let people know, I've been trying to let people know that there is this great opportunity in America today that is greater than ever before. Why? Because never before has so much wealth been created. Never before has so much money been moving. Never before has people been wanting to know how money works. Never before has there been a need for people to generate more money And so when you're able to do that by adding massive value to other people's lives, you create the best opportunity, and you put the power of the money business with the leadership of Hubert Humphrey and the system that's revolutionized the financial industry for 4 decades in a row. Then you've got the formula for the best opportunity in America today. You need to learn about it so that you stop wasting the time in inferior opportunities that take your time and don't reward you what you are worth. So go now to Hegemon, go to HGI Opportunity, HGIopportunity.com. Listen to the greatest financial story ever told in the financial industry, and you'll see what I'm talking about. With that being said, Hubert, I want to thank you as always. Excited for tomorrow. We'll see you then. You have a great day, sir.
All right. You too. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.